believe it is week 11 already, just flying by. So last week, week 10 was awesome with one small problem. If you watched our video, I cashed pretty significantly. So if you watched our video, you made money. The only problem, we had Cousins and we had Goff with Woods in that stack, phenomenal. I had Theo Riddick, as we talked about, with Stafford, phenomenal. Lions D, solid, and Mark Ingram, unbelievable. So you played some of those combinations there, and you had a big week. My problem, and I'm sure some of you, nothing we can do about it, was Devonta Freeman, who I had as a big play last week. 0 points. I mean, guy got a concussion and left the game, or whatever happened to him. Left the game in the first quarter, and that just sucks. And that's part of this. So now we come back this week. It's too bad it happened on a week, that was a really on week, because I cashed in multiple lineups, 50+% of my lineups in Millionaire Maker without Freeman scoring a point. That's amazing. So, on to week 11. Quick pitch, or quick plug. Download our app. Download FanCred on the App Store or in Google Play. It is awesome. All sports, all the time. Some great influencers on there. Tag your team, follow your teams of your favorite teams, and there's a lot of stuff going on there, including a lot of fantasy talk. All right, on to week 11. So before we get into this positions, and I'm going to try to move real quick, so pay attention. I want to get this under 15 minutes in one part this week. Healthy. Healthy is my theme this week. Going the rest of the way here, so the last 8, 9, 10 weeks, I'm going to play healthy players. What does that mean? That means Devonta Freeman goes into the game healthy and gets a concussion. That's the breaks of fantasy and DFS, and you move on. And hopefully you had at least half your lineups without him. But I'm thinking about guys who are coming into the game time decisions, questionable, especially receivers and running backs, especially positional players. It's not worth it. If a guy's got a bum hamstring and he's kind of iffy and he didn't practice on Wednesday and he was limited on Thursday and now he's going to try to play and he goes out there and he plays, 15 plays, or he comes out of the game in the half, or he's suddenly questionable return, your lineups are dead and you knew it going in. So there are those weeks where Julio Jones is hurt and he hasn't practiced and he's questionable and then he plays and has a blow-up huge week. But those are few and far between. So I am playing healthy players positionally. I think you can have a little more flexibility at quarterback. If you kind of assess the situation and the guy's playing, he'll probably play the whole game. So stick to healthy players the rest of the way. It's a killer to lose them. You don't want a zero. All right, this is a week of about 8 to 10 quarterbacks for me, and it's kind of all over the gamut. Some high-priced guys and some really low-priced guys. So number one, we got to talk about Tom Brady, $7,400, most expensive on DraftKings. I'm looking at my notes here, sorry. 29.5 team total, number one. 52.5 game total, number one. In Mexico, where the NFL is going to want to put on an offensive show, they're not looking for a 6-3 game. That's why it's the Patriots and the Raiders. Oakland, 32nd against the pass. 28th against the pass to running backs out of the backfield. 28th to tight end. Patriots defense obviously has gotten better than people think, but struggling. So this is an interesting game stack. But for Brady, you're going to have to find some value. But I will have a Brady Cook stack for sure. I will have a Brady Gronk stack for sure. Gronk is scoring a touchdown in this game in Mexico, okay, if he's healthy. And I might even have one more like Grady, Deion Lewis. I think a lot of people will be on Rex Burkhead, and you never know with the Patriots. So I think that's a good spot to fade. I also might have a Brady naked, meaning no stack. On the flip side of that, you're going to have to find some value with a Brady, which we'll talk about. Derek Carr, on the other side of it, $1,000 less at $6,400. I think the Patriots defense and their D-backs are somewhere between not good and better than people think. So you got to be a little careful on this one. And the Patriots, this could be a sneaky running the Marshawn Lynch game where the Raiders try to keep the ball out of Brady's hands. So I do like the Raiders carefully. I'll probably have one Carr lineup or two Carr lineups. I'll probably stack him with Crabtree and maybe Jared Cook. I will come back to that. I do love Jared Cook with Carr, and we'll come back to Jared Cook later. So I think, you can have a little exposure to Carr, good amount to Brady. 3, Kirk Cousins. Look, Kirk Cousins, not the easiest matchup, right? The Saints defense has not allowed a touchdown in, 4 weeks on the air? They started the season awful. Like everyone said, play against the Saints. So where is the reality? Where is the truth? he's going to have to throw 35 to 40 times in this game, and he has 30-point potential every single time out. So can't have no exposure to him. I'm not, as much as I don't think the Patriots defense is as bad as people think, I don't think the Saints are as good as people think. So I do like Cousins here. I will look to stack him actually with Chris Thompson, a running back stack. Rob Kelly is out. Paris, whatever his name is, the rookie stinks. And, they're going to have to use Chris Thompson to win this game. And then Jamison Crowder, possible stack, but I think I'll probably just stick to the Thompson stack. Use Crowder for value elsewhere. Excuse me. Number 4. So this is a all-in or all-out. And hear me out, I love Phillip Rivers at 5,900 this week against the Bills. The Bills are reeling. But Rivers is in concussion protocol. He practiced fully on Thursday, is expected to play. If he does not play, the only Chargers I'm looking at are running backs. If he does play, I am all in on Phillip Rivers. All in on this game. 5,900. You compare him with Benjamin. You compare him with a cheap, under 4,000. Tyrell Williams, under 4,000. Keenan Allen, 5,900. Hunter Henry, 3,500. Ekeler. There's so many options to go with Rivers this week. I'm loving it. I obviously love Keenan Allen. Benjamin had a really bad week 10, but 2 weeks prior to that, he had 17 and 18 points. So he has that big play potential. So again, if Rivers plays, I am going to be my number one most exposure to Rivers at quarterback. Couple flyers. Last week everybody played the Fitzpatrick-McCown game, and the game was a disaster. This week you have Cutler-Fitzpatrick. I think they're about the same price, 54 for Cutler, but 53 for Fitzpatrick. I actually love Fitzpatrick in this game. Airing it out. You can stack him with Evans. You can stack him with Deshaun Jackson. You can do both. You'll pick up a lot of value based on that price, especially if you stack him with Deshaun and be able to play some really good other positional players. I'm going back to the well on that one. I think you can go Cutler on the other way just because Tampa Bay's defense is so bad. But like the Bills, the Dolphins are reeling. So be a little careful. I'd rather see us play Stills or Parker in a lineup and not stack with Cutler or just avoid Cutler and go to Fitzpatrick. You could game stack that, though, with Fitzpatrick, Evans, Stills, Fitzpatrick, Jackson, Parker. Those are the two I like there. I kind of was going to talk about Blake Bortles, and he's going to be very chalky, and he's 5,200, and I would only play him with Marquise Lee. But now they're talking about massive heavy wins in that game. It's the lowest over-under in a week. Lee's banged up. So gonna check back in Sunday morning to see what we're going to do on that. But right now, if the weather doesn't change, I'm going to avoid that Bortles play. May have a little Marquise Lee later. Keep going here. Alex Smith, $6,700. Great price. Great stack with Kelsey. The Giants are atrocious against tight ends. Kelsey is just an animal right now, so you pay for him like you pay for a high receiver in the 7,000s. Tyreek Hill could have a huge play here in this game. Giants are terrible, and the only thing you worry about here is a blowout in this becoming a Kareem Hunt game, which we'll come back to. Breeze. Everybody's kind of going to trigger or take Breeze down a notch. Why? Because they're running the ball crazily. Ingram, Kamara, back and forth, 30 fantasy points, 25 fantasy points. But people are going to think about Josh Norman back there for Washington. But Breeze is at home. He plays great at home. He's due for a big game in the air. So I'm not going to go crazy. It's not going to be a Brady, Phillip Rivers, but it's going to be some exposure. Absolutely with Ted Ginn once, absolutely with Michael Thomas once, and maybe with Kamara. Matthew Stafford's going to be very chalky. He's been absolutely on fire, but this is different. He isn't playing the Browns in the Dome. He's playing the Bears, an underrated defense, in the cold November air in Chicago. So I think this is a fade for me on Stafford this week, as much as I loved him last week. I'll use a little bit of Golden Tate throughout my lineups, 20%, 15%. But I do prefer Keenan Allen than Golden Tate in that. Goff, I've been all over Goff in this video. You guys know that. Goff has won us a lot of money on here, but I'm off him this week. I just am. I think this is a tough game for him at Minnesota. If you want exposure, play a little Woods, but this is not a big Goff stack week for me. This is the week I jump off. And look, he may go out and score 30 points again, and I may be wrong. But not for me. Not with Xavier Rhodes back there. Not this week. Case Keenum, also a tough matchup. The Rams defense has been really good, but he's at home. He's in a dome. and he has been on fire. If I play Case Keenum this week, it will be one time with Diggs. Why? Because everyone's going to play Thielen. He's more expensive. Diggs is now cheaper. I'll just go for it. Keenum, Diggs, 2 long touchdowns, and you can win yourself a GPP one time. But again, I think it's a tough game, and I think there's another problem there, which is Teddy Bridgewater standing there with his helmet in his hand, ready to go. And it's going to be a short leash. Despite Keenan's success, they're looking for a reason to get Teddy back on the field. And a half a game from a quarterback doesn't work very well. All right, jumping off to other receivers I like besides the people I just mentioned in the stack real quickly. We'll whip right through them. Again, Brandon Cooks. You can play him outside of Brady. Love him this week. Jamison Crowder, pretty cheap. Coming on here. Coming on for the Redskins like he was last year. Solid PPR guy. Good for probably a touchdown. 15 to 25 points potentially this week against the Saints. I said Travis Benjamin, under 4,000, big play potential. Kenny Stills, he has been coming on. Now, he got hurt yesterday in practice, back issue. I will not touch Kenny Stills if he is not healthy. Totally convinced that he's healthy. But if he's fine and he just strained his back, Kenny Stills against Tampa, he may be the guy who has the big game over Landry and Parker. Worth a shot at 4,000. I said Marquise Lee will have some exposure to him. Ted Ginn, same thing. Prefer him cheap. Deshaun Jackson, 5,100. Like him cheap. Crabtree, 5,900. Keenan Allen, we talked about. Sterling Shepard continues to bring it. I worry about the Giants in this game, but they're going to throw a lot to stay in this game. So Sterling Shepard's going to be he's going to get targeted 25 times. And then, if you really want to do it, I had Devontae Adams, as I told you guys last week with Hundley, and he had 2 touchdowns. It's a good week. 5,300, and Jordy is now 4,700. So you got to take a shot at it. You have to. You just got those guys. You could do it. Hundley, Adams, Jordy, Stack. Again, they're playing, I think, that's a game you're going to have to move around on. But that Hundley, Jordy, Adams, Stack, and if that goes right, man, cash in. So coming back to that one as a flyer as well. If you really want a dirt cheap play, you got Bruce Ellington will play for Will Fuller. Tom Savage throwing to him, not a great option. But $3,000 at the minimum, I think you can get value there.